All right, sometimes we have a situation where we're given a graph and we need to put it into standard form. Okay, the easiest way to do this is to write your equation in slope-intercept form from the graph and then convert to standard. So what I want to do is find my y-intercept. Again, my y-intercept is where it's intersecting the intersection, like a road intersection. It's intersecting the y-axis. So this point right here that I'm highlighting, that's the only point that this line is intersecting the y-axis. Now I'm going to go from my origin, and from my origin it is 2 units down. Since it's 2 units down, I know it's -2. Okay, that's our b value. Now I need to pick 2 points, 2 pretty points. Pretty points, okay, so if we think about this, the lines that are on my graph, this line here is an integer value, that's the integer 1. This graph here is integer 2. This graph here is integer 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Now, up and down, my rise, the integers for my rise are again on those lines. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, my pretty points are going to fall where these integers, the x and y integers, intersect. Okay, so I want to look at my graph and I want to see, okay, well, our intersection here is definitely, in this case, definitely what I like to call a pretty point. Okay, now if I were to look at, say, this point here, that's not a pretty point. That's an integer point, or sorry, that would be like could be an irrational, I'm not sure. It's not a very nice number. Neither would be this intersection. Neither would be anything in between here and here. Okay, now there is this point right here where if you look at it, the graph is going right between those lines. So I know that's my other pretty point. Okay, I could also look, sometimes it can get a little tricky. Sometimes your pretty points aren't as clear cut. And you can pick, there's going to be more than one pretty point, especially if you have a very small slope. You can pick any 2 points because your slope on the graph is going to be the same all the way through. I'm going to pick these. I'm going to usually pick one is going to be my intersection, and then the other one's going to be one of the other pretty points. That's usually what I'm going to do. So I'm going to rise up, and then here I'm going to run. My rise up was 1 unit, and my run was 3. So my slope is going to be 1/3. Okay, now when I'm writing it in terms of slope-intercept form, that's the form of y is equal to mx plus b. So in place of y, I'm going to leave that. In place of m, I'm going to put positive 1/3. Then I'm going to leave it as x, and then I'm going to put -2. Okay, now all of these, I can think about this in terms of my answer choices. All my answer choices have x and y on the same side. Now, there's a few things that you can look at it. As I said before, this 1/3, that's the same thing as saying 1 times x/3. Okay? Now, if you notice, the x is next to which number? The 1. But be very careful because really, technically, I need to clear my fraction first because all of my answer choices are, some of you may have, let me put it this way. Some of you may have recognized that, oh, well, my y has 1 by itself and then x has 1 by the x, so my answer choices are going to be A or B. We can't necessarily assume that because our fraction, there's no fraction in our answers. So I have to clear it first before I make that understanding, because watch what happens. In order to clear my fraction, I'm going to multiply by the number that's in the bottom. The 3 is the number in the bottom. So I'm going to multiply my entire equation, every single term, by 3. So 3 times y becomes 3y. That's going to be equal to, well, 1/3 times 3 is going to be 1, and that becomes basically 1x minus 2. Now, as a reminder, 1 is that invisible number, so I'm just going to rewrite that as just x. Okay? Now, notice All right, well now we can possibly say, all right, A or B might be our answer. We have 3y here, and then that's going to be equal to x minus 2. So I'm going to move my x over here. So in order to move the x, we're going to have to subtract it. We have to subtract it because since there's no sign with the x, we know it's positive. So I'm going to subtract x, that cancels. That leaves me with negative 2 on the right. Then this is going to become negative x plus 3y. All right, so that's going to eliminate C and D. All right, well now, looking at my answer choices, they both have x being positive. So I need to make x positive in my equation. Whoops, it closed down on me. Uh-oh, come on, there we go. Okay, so now we're back in business. Sorry about that. So in order to make x positive, I'm going to do that rule of multiplying by negative 1. So I'm going to switch all of my signs. So this becomes positive x minus 3y, and then that's going to become, oh, that should have been 6. I did not multiply 3 by the 2, and it should have been 6. Okay, so now we fix that. So this is going to be minus 6. And that is going to give me my answer, or not minus 6, it's going to be positive 6. Because this is negative 6, so it becomes positive. That's positive 6, which gives us our answer choice 6. All right. One of the ways that we could check our answer 2 is to look at those coordinate points and plug those coordinate points into our equation and see if it is true. All right. Now let's go ahead and go over 14. I would invite you to try to do it on your own. I'm going to go ahead and come here, and my y-intercept is negative 1. My slope has a rise of 2 and a run of 1, so that's positive 2. So this is going to become y is equal to 2x plus 1. No, not plus 1. Minus 1. It's late at night. All right. Now, all my x and y's are on the same side on my answer choices, so I'm going to move this 2x over. So this becomes 2x plus y is equal to negative 1. So that's going to eliminate B and A. I need to switch my signs, so that becomes 2x minus y is equal to 1. And that is our answer choice D. Last question. We have number 5. So I have my y-intercept there. That is going to be positive 7. Now this one has two potential pretty points. This point here is more pretty than this point here. That point will also not give you any of the answer choices. So you're going to use the one that's the more pretty point. All right, now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to count. That's going to be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have a run of 4. So my slope is going to be negative 5/4. So this is going to become y is equal to negative 5/4 x plus 7. Okay. Now I'm going to multiply by 4. So this becomes 4y is equal to negative 5x plus 28. So that's going to eliminate A and B. Move my x over, so that becomes positive 5x plus 4y, and that's going to be equal to positive 28. So that's our answer choice C. All right, that covers some of the questions on